Hi guys, welcome back. Who knew we'd be doing another Come With Me vlog this soon? I did not expect it, but another little horror movie has crept up onto my radar and into my cinema, and one I haven't seen any promo for, which is bizarre. First, I do want to address I am wearing a Seahawks beanie. I'm not a fan. My boyfriend got this when we were in America, and it's winter in Australia, so it's cold. These are keeping me warm at the moment. Anyway, not what this video is about. Tonight, I'm seeing Keith Thomas's first film, The Vigil. This movie is about a man providing overnight watch to a deceased member of his former Orthodox Jewish community. During the night, he finds himself as the target of an evil entity. This is director-writer Keith Thomas's first film, and it stars Dave Davis and Menasty Lustig. I butchered that pronunciation, but I did look it up beforehand, and I tried, guys. I'm excited about this film because I really love religious horror, and I did a bit of research about Orthodox Jewish communities and their culture after I was looking into Hasidic Jewish culture when all of those Netflix specials came out, and I just found them fascinating. I love religion and I love looking at other people's religions, so I'm very excited about that aspect of this, and it's nice to see something else that's not just Christianity in these kind of religious films. I wonder if it's got much to do with the entity. It should be interesting. This one says it's coming out on the 23rd of July, which it's coming out earlier here because today is the 19th? Yes, today's the 19th. You're probably seeing this a little bit later because I've kind of had to shuffle things around with all of these weird new releases, but it doesn't show at the moment while I'm filming this, it doesn't show many countries are getting this film, so it should be interesting. But I did see beforehand that Blumhouse, or Blumhouse, it's Blumhouse, got the rights to this film to distribute it in December. So maybe they've just been sitting on it for so long that they're just going to release it. Who knows? It's probably going to be VOD for everybody else. But I don't mind paying that extra bit of money and going to see it in the cinema because I feel so blessed to be able to go. If you didn't watch my last Come With Me video, I went to the cinema and I explained the situation where I live and how different it is to other places in the world right now. Let's just go check this one out. It doesn't have much about it. I'm not going to watch the trailer beforehand because I want to go in blind, and as we all know, the best parts are in the trailer. For these spoiler-free reviews, by the way, any clips I use, I do show some of the trailers, but I do like to cut out anything I think is a spoiler. So if you are a little bit worried about seeing anything that is spoiler from a trailer, I promise I don't include them in these videos. I make sure not to do that because that would be so annoying. Anyway, I hope you guys are as excited as I am, and let's go check out The Vigil. I just got back from watching The Vigil. Oh my god! Okay. I am like excited to talk to you guys about this one. I did really like the movie, but it's kind of frustrating to watch because it's such a unique perspective, setup, approach. The director, I can't wait to see what he does next, but this didn't really hit the mark. Like, it set it high and then it went through the cliches, unfortunately. So the film is not about a man who's looking after someone who is used to be part of the community. It's kind of the opposite way around. It's about a man who has left the community, the Orthodox Jewish community, and he is now, you know, when people leave that kind of community and they live together until they adjust to normal life, especially in New York. And he is struggling getting himself into like the modern world with new technology and stuff like that. But also an aspect which is very interesting in this, it's not just about him and his faith, it's also he is dealing with mental illness. Which is so interesting, and you just like want to learn more because you're not sure what that has to do with his faith. I mean, you get little hints, but obviously, yeah, I know a little bit about that, and I know from some stricter communities, obviously, taking medication and stuff is a big no-no. So it's very interesting. You want to know more about that. But anyway, he used to be a person who sat with someone after they passed throughout the night and make sure that there's no like demons or the person passes as peacefully as possible and rests. And someone gets really desperate after Red Flag. A body is left with someone who does this and they run out, so he's called upon and is meant to go sit with his body for the night, which is so creepy. I think this is a really cool idea, and I love that it's like pulling aspects from, as I said before, from a religion, and it just makes it so much more intense and strong, like the emotions. It really reminded me of the autopsy of Jane Doe, but don't get too excited, but it reminded me of that kind of slow, creepy, crawling feeling of being with a dead body. It definitely had those kind of feels. It is a really slow movie, but I love the way it was filmed and put together. Because he's alone for majority of the night, he uses his phone and, like the text messages come up on screen. There's also a little bit of subtitles at the start throughout, depending on who he's talking to. But I think it's really interesting that the camera work throughout the film. It frames it in a strange way where you're trying to look for something in the corner that may or may not be there. It really lingers on some shots and you're waiting for something. It's really eerie and creepy, and it was a great film to see in the movies because it's very silent and still and yeah, just a little bit spooky. But also there does this great thing with the focus. Some parts are in focus and some parts they like pull focus too, but then some parts are intentionally like blurry on purpose and you're not too sure why. And at like one point you're seeing the writing, what he's writing on his phone, like blurry because it's the way it is on the screen is on like a part that's not in focus. It's very interesting and different, but I really liked it. It gave it such a cool dynamic because it was already a really interesting story from a perspective we don't see often in horror movies. So I felt like the camera work was really interesting, and it was just a cool dynamic part. I will say the film lost me in parts during the middle just because it was slower, and I felt like then we ran into the cliches. Certain things were happening that happen in all like ghost stories, which was disappointing. I don't know if it's like technically a ghost story, I don't want to ruin it, but it's just certain things were happening that were just going through the motions, and because it's such a different setup, I was just hoping it would go a different kind of way, but it did really creep me out. But it was just certain aspects I wasn't 100% for. I really liked the main guy. I thought he did really well, except he was, in fear. He was like crying. I don't want to give away why, but like he was very scared and upset, and he was crying in the movie and there was no tears. It really annoyed me because he had it all and he was such a great actor and I was really with him all the way through, but there was just some points where I'm like, man, give this guy an eye drop. I still think that this is a great movie and really worth watching. There's certain aspects in it that make it so original, but then there's certain aspects that just make it so cliche. And I wonder if it was like a meeting in the middle type situation, but I can't wait to see if this is this guy's first written and directed feature. I would love to see what he has in store for us because I definitely think he's someone to watch. Something I thought was really interesting about this film was the music design. There was all different types of music. There was like some synth, almost like 80s, like, kind of music, which I really love. If you guys have watched my videos on soundtracks, you'd know I love that. But then there's some like chanting, some, really fitting religious feeling music. And it's just kind of all over the place, which is really interesting. I did like all of the uses of like music they had and all of their choices, but it just didn't seem to mesh and give a theme or, not like an aesthetic, but like a sound aesthetic, like a cohesive feel to the movie. It just seemed a little bit all over the place. But it just, every aspect of this film just made me think like, oh, that's a very interesting way you're doing that. And I really liked it. It kept me on my toes and it was something completely different. And if you're after something completely different, I would highly recommend it. I did really like this film. I'm going to give it a 7. Am I going to give it a 7? I kept going 6 and 7, but then there was parts I love, and then there was parts I was like, ugh. But it has a really, I'm not going to go into why, because obviously, like, spoiler, but it has a really beautiful story behind it that you can only discover when you watch it, and it has a really big meaning, which was really lovely. But it's very confusing also because of the whole mental illness part. They kind of bring it in and they kind of leave it and then they kind of bring it back, and you're not too sure what the bigger meaning is meant to attribute to, because it kind of crosses over between his religion and that. And I wish they kind of kept those separate, because unless you're going to completely head-on address them, they're two competing aspects and it doesn't really work hand in hand without explaining one without the other, if that makes sense, because of what I said before. Yes. Interesting stuff. Anyway, I hope you guys get to check this one out soon. The Vigil, I would highly recommend it to you guys. And I do think that there's aspects that I just personally very much enjoy in this, but I do think if you liked The Autopsy of Jane Doe, you like a little something slower, scarier, little bit of stirring, you'll probably enjoy this. But there are some cliches in there, I'm not gonna lie. But I did really enjoy the ride. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Please let me know if you do, and please let me know if you're okay with me doing these come with me's. Again, if you missed my last video, I explained my situation, but I'll probably put it in a pinned comment down below so you can understand where I am in the world and the difference I have right now, which I'm very blessed and very privileged to have. So I really appreciate you guys being here. I hope you guys are well, and I'll talk to you very soon. Stay spooky. Bye.